Good evening, I'm Dennis Ward. Welcome to APTN National News. We start tonight with breaking news out of Winnipeg, Manitoba, where RCMP have charged a Headingley prison guard for the in-custody death of a Sagkeeng First Nation inmate, William Ahmo. RCMP released a statement today about Ahmo's death, stating that an investigation determined he was unresponsive upon being, quote, extracted following a, quote, prolonged standoff at the prison in February 2021. He died in hospital a week later. His family has been calling for justice for almost a year. And today, a 43-year-old corrections officer, Robert Jeffrey Morden, was arrested. He's charged with criminal negligence causing death and failing to provide the necessities of life. An autopsy had earlier determined Ahmo's death was the result of homicide. RCMP Sergeant Paul Manig explains why the officer was not charged with murder.
Because it's labeled a homicide doesn't mean, okay, well, he's got to be charged with murder. He's got to be charged with an offense that can help prove what caused the death. So in this case, like I say, they felt that under the circumstances, watching the video, seeing the evidence, speaking with everyone, putting it all together, they determined that the two charges that are easiest to prove are the criminal negligence causing death and failing to provide the necessities of life.
Ahmo's family released a statement saying they are relieved and cautiously optimistic about the news of the charges. His mother, Darlene Ahmo, thanked the RCMP and asked for privacy. William Ahmo was a father of one. Winter cold records are being shattered in the east, and now a fifth homeless person has been found dead since 2021 in the streets of Montreal. But as Lindsay Richardson reports, without a comprehensive government plan, frontline workers fear the pandemic death count will keep on rising.
It's 20 below zero in Montreal, and temperatures are dropping every hour. As you can see, most people are staying inside. That is, if they can.
Basically, what we have is kind of a cedar tree on an angle, a pallet, and then we have cardboard that goes all the way down the stairs under the snow. It's been a couple days since someone's been in here, but in the last month, someone has stayed under these stairs.
David Chapman knows well the strain the COVID-19 pandemic is putting on homeless people. He operates Resilience Montreal, a shelter with a prominent Indigenous clientele, one forced by public health to reduce its daily services. So he's showing us how people have been getting by.
You know, when people are hard pressed, they're, kicked out of the metro, they'll come and they'll, sort of sleep up against the heat vent.
Like the man in this photo Chapman recently snapped.
I'm driving along the alleyway and there were garbage bags piled up here with someone lying on top of them next to this vent. It was minus 18. And they had not even a blanket, just, pair of pants, shoes, and a jacket lying in front of this heat vent, minus 18.
A port in the storm in the Cabot Square area is the Raphael Andre Memorial Tent, but it's operated over capacity and with limited funding for over a year now. Raphael Andre was the first homeless person to die of exposure during the pandemic. Since then, 4 more have perished. Further complicating things are Omicron outbreaks reported among the homeless. So while the city's freed up a soccer stadium on the other end of town to house them,
if those beds are in a location of the city that the homeless don't travel to, then essentially they're irrelevant. What you need are beds that are near where the homeless population is, and spaces that allow them in as they are, intoxicated or in whatever state they come.
There's hope this new 24/7 shelter for the urban Indigenous population will offset some of the pressure. It houses 50, and clients can safely consume alcohol or cannabis under this heated tent. But making it happen was a challenge.
We were blocked for several months because of zoning issues, because there's no zone that really allows for a shelter without special permits, and those special permits can take months and months. It was only when the City of Montreal reinstated the state of emergency in November that they were able to actually requisition a hotel.
The city says they're doing all they can.
The strategy itself has to come from the government of Quebec. It's their mandate. How do they envision homelessness. And what we've been asking for a long time, and community organizations are saying the same thing, is we need more 24/7, but really we need to come out of the emergency kind of system. The seasonal approach, like, okay, more resources during winter, less resources during summer.
Quebec's Minister of Indigenous Affairs says they're working on it.
Our goal, the ultimate goal, is to take people out of homelessness. So different resources, different reactions. It's not a one-size-fits-all.
Chapman acknowledges social or emergency housing as one solution. But what about the meantime?
Raphael Andre will not be housed. There's a reason for that. Because the reason he won't be housed is because he's dead. And the reason he's dead is because the emergency resources were not adequate. And he died in a porta potty. And so what we'd like to see is to see that pattern change.
Lindsay Richardson, APTN National News, Montreal.
While some provinces are looking to decriminalize hard drugs, police chiefs in Alberta say the province does not have the means to follow suit, especially in rural communities. Tamara Pimentel has that story.
The Alberta Association of Chiefs of Police say when it comes to decriminalizing illicit drugs in Alberta, it's just not ready. Chief Mark Neufeld with the Calgary Police says decriminalizing alone would not reduce addiction and overdose rates.
We do not believe the necessary health supports, including immediately accessible treatment services, are presently available for this purpose.
A lack of supports are particularly an issue in remote and Indigenous communities, according to Blood Tribe Police Chief Bryce Ironshirt.
We are currently under-resourced due to working off a fixed underfunded budget. This lack of resources has put us in a position where we're unable to react efficiently to any possible negative consequence to the decriminalization of possession of hard drugs.
In November, British Columbia applied to the federal government to remove criminal penalties for people possessing small amounts of illicit drugs. Toronto's Board of Health did the same. But for Alberta, the association, which represents over 7,500 officers, says that isn't recommended. And on reserves, Chief Ironshirt says communities need to look to its members to come up with an Indigenous-based approach to combat the opioid crisis. Tamara Pimentel, APTN National News, Calgary.
Time to step aside for a quick break, and then we'll continue our story about a Cree man set to lose his trap line to make way for a lithium mine. Stick around. Welcome back. Economic development versus land preservation. As many Indigenous people in Canada know, it's a balance that is difficult to achieve, especially when the land is tied to a traditional way of life. Here now is the final part of Shushan Bakon's series on lithium mining in Cree territory, translated and read by Tom Fenario.
Randy Wischi and the Moses family are putting the final touches to this beaver trap. But setting the trap is only part of it. Knowing the exact location of where to put it is essential.
1 inch, okay, from the ground.
Having done that, it needs to be left overnight. And if everything goes according to plan, come the morning, there will be what the Cree call an umsk, or beaver, in the trap.
Now you give it to the woman.
Ernie Moses is what the Cree call a tally man, which means he spends a lot of time outside looking after his family's trap line. There's not much else in the world he'd rather be doing.
Comme dire, là, c'était bien ouvert de voir la nature que j'aime. Puis l'attrapage, puis la chasse aux oignons, puis aussi des collets, puis tout, là, tu sais.
But it's not only beavers who make dams around Moses' trap line. 2002 saw Hydro-Quebec build the East Main 1 hydroelectric dam. Over 600 square kilometers were flooded, creating a vast reservoir. The dam was built after Quebec signed the Pays de Brave agreement with the Cree.
We are no longer bystanders where we are watching the benefits of development go south.
This is wrong.
Not everybody was happy at the time.
All the Waskaganish people help me.
But the majority voted in favor of the East Main project for the jobs it would create, despite the environmental cost.
Pour la recevoir, là, quand je regarde, là, c'est un immense d'eau qui se ramasse ici. C'est bien, il y a beaucoup de l'eau. Il y en avait des lacs, puis des rivières, là. Ça va vraiment au moins une vingtaine de rapides, là.
A memorial plaque keeps watch over the flooded lands. It remembers the ancestors who hunted here, whose remains are underwater, who, for countless generations, made their home along the East Main River and nearby lands, lakes, and rivers, who, the memorial says, sacrificed for the Cree Nation. Now, it appears it's Moses' turn to sacrifice.
Critical Elements is proud to present its lithium and tantalum mining project.
Plans are underway for an open-pit mine to be built on its trapline.
Je parle pas, moi. C'est pas une personne qui parle de ça. Je veux rien savoir de la mine. Comme je t'ai dit, je pense pas que je vais gagner de ça. Pour ma famille, pour tout. Même c'était pour la communauté ici.
The land here is rich with lithium and other rare earth metals. 3 mining projects, all within driving distance of Ernie's trapline alone, are worth billions of dollars over the next few decades. It's looking like for the Cree in Quebec, mining is becoming the new hydroelectricity. In February of 2020, Quebec and the Cree signed the Grande Alliance, a $4.7 billion proposal to improve infrastructure for mining, such as the building of railroads and a deep water port in Hudson's Bay.
La Grande Alliance, c'est un dossier qui était lancé en dessous l'ancien grand chef, M. Abel Bossum. Il y avait une vision de vraiment comprendre comment on pourrait diriger le développement économique dans notre territoire. Je trouve que c'est essentiel. Il y a un beau partnership nation en nation avec le gouvernement de Québec. Puis, tu sais, nous autres, on se demande qu'est-ce qui va sortir de ce dossier-là. On est en train de faire les études feasibility study, mais on est vraiment dans le beginning là, de ce dossier-là.
Back on Ernie's trapline, the Rose Lithium Tantal open pit mine is expected to produce 4,500 tons of minerals a day. Environmentalists say the mining of lithium and other rare earth minerals is bad for waterways. But according to geologist Michel Gebrac, that depends. In the case of the Rose Lithium mine, he expects there to be little long-term effects because there is a lack of toxic minerals in the ground that will leach into the waterways. Gebrac also explains that minerals like lithium and tantalum are essential for electric vehicles and other aspects of modern life.
Il y a 20 ans, le téléphone portable, c'était une espèce de grosse boîte comme ça, là, un truc très très lourd qu'il fallait se balader. Et puis il y a quelqu'un qui a eu l'idée de mettre un petit peu de tantal dedans, un condensateur au tantal, ce qui fait que le téléphone, il est rentré dans quelque chose qu'on peut rentrer dans sa poche. Donc,
the mine is being created in collaboration with the Cree Nations of East Main and Nemaska. Training and jobs for them are part of the agreement. The objective is to begin construction this summer.
Le projet, oui, c'est un projet d'une génération, mais il y a d'autres générations par la suite. Donc, d'avoir des sociétés, des compagnies qui vont se développer à long terme, puis qui peuvent bénéficier pas juste pour une communauté, mais qui peuvent bénéficier à différentes communautés, c'est très important pour nous aussi. Là.
Moses says he understands that the mine will financially benefit the Cree for generations. But that doesn't mean he approves. Because not much can get between the love a Tallyman has for his trapline.
To me, it really hurts, but I don't know what to say. Other things and all this, you know, it's only my trapline I'm thinking about.
A story by Shushan Bacon, APTN National News, Cree territory of EUHG in Quebec.
Such a great series. You can watch it all over on our website, aptnnews.ca. Now to BC and an annual event that aims to improve resource extraction there. Here's APTN's Lee Wilson with that story.
Indigenous leaders, resource company CEOs, and the provincial government discuss ways to strengthen the province's economy. A panel at the BC Natural Resources Forum discussed bringing sustainable investment into the province. Chief Willie Sellers of the Williams Lake First Nation shared his nation's success in partnership with mining and forestry companies. Chris Sankey, a Tsimshian entrepreneur who advises energy companies on engagement in First Nation communities, says investors are interested in stability.
That investors are more than happy to work with any local community so long as they know which party there is, which party that they're going to be dealing with. I think it's indicative, again, to keep going back to making sure that the First Nations and the governments are all aligned to attract investment.
According to a BC Economic Plan report from 2020, natural resources account for over 50% of the province's economic base. That includes forestry, agriculture, mining, and energy jobs. A panel at the Resources Forum focused on decarbonization, which aims to reduce or lower outputs of greenhouse gases. Lana Eagle, a director at nonprofit Geoscience BC, shared how their data assisted Fort Nelson First Nation move forward on the 2-day Ka geothermal clean energy project. She stressed the importance of early engagement and sharing information.
It would seem to me that these two can work together to create an equitable situation for creating wealth and an equitable situation for managing resources within the territories of Indigenous people in BC.
The 3-day forum will wrap up this Thursday. Lee Wilson, APTN National News, Kitimat.
We need to step out for another quick break, but still to come, traditional art making its way into a gallery for the first time. Welcome back. Time now for our photo of the day. Our viewer Faye Ironstand sent us this great image of a sundog caught right before sunset, just north of Tootnawazabeen First Nation, located in southwestern Manitoba. If you have a photo you'd love to share with our viewers across Turtle Island, send that photo to share at aptn.ca. Time now to take a look at tomorrow's weather forecast. Starting on the East Coast, -11 for Fredericton and Charlottetown. 13 below in Nain, -9 for Happy Valley, Goose Bay. -18 in Montreal, snow, and 12 below in Chibougamau. -7 with snow for Sault Ste. Marie and North Bay. 7 below and flurries in Thunder Bay, -18 and snow in Sioux Lookout. 20 below for God's Lake, Norway House, and the Paw. -17 in Winnipeg, 16 below with snow for Dauphin. -8 and snow for Regina and North Battleford. 0 in Meadow Lake, -27 for Uranium City. In northern Alberta, snow and 11 below for Fort McMurray, +6 in Grand Prairie. +9 with showers in Medicine Hat, 10 in Lethbridge. Sun's out and 7 for Vancouver and Victoria. 7 in Prince George, 9 for Smithers. -20 with snow in Old Crow, +3 in Whitehorse. -25 and flurries for Yellowknife, 28 below in Norman Wells. -27 for Sachs Harbor, 23 below in Paulatuck. -30 and snow in Chesterfield, 31 below in Whale Cove. -32 for Resolute, -30 in Arctic Bay. They are known as the Quill Sisters, 3 Mi'kmaq women who use porcupine quills to create traditional Mi'kmaq art. Their passion for quilling has resulted in a podcast, and for the first time their art will be a main installation at a gallery in Halifax. Angel Moore has their story.
For Cheryl Simon, quilling is more than art. It connects her to her ancestors and culture.
We're often thinking about our ancestors and our grandmothers who were making quill work to sell to settlers. And we've been thinking a lot about if they had been making art to be creative as opposed to survive and to make money to get by with their families, how would the art have formed?
Pulling the porcupine quills through birch bark is not as easy as it looks. The quills are razor sharp, but not easy to come by. Simon of Abequet First Nation in Prince Edward Island now lives in Dartmouth, Nova Scotia, and has to get her porcupine quills from roadkill. Simon shares the quills with her friends, Kay Sark and Melissa Peter Paul. They both live in Prince Edward Island, where there are no porcupines. They also co-host a podcast called the Quill Sisters.
Welcome to Ebikwik Quill Sisters, where Mi'kmaq porcupine quill workers share the stories behind their art.
The bi-weekly podcast was launched in May 2021.
The podcast is really wanting to share people the cultural knowledge and experiences and the components of who we are as Mi'kmaq women that goes into our art, and really highlight for people all of the stories and the lessons about quill work that Mi'kmaq people have never been able to share before.
Simon quilled these petroglyph images, Mi'kmaq carvings on rocks over 13,000 years old.
So this piece here actually represents, if you see, it's the water, with the whales in the water, people fishing, and then the land animals, birds, and then up to space with the sun. So it's basically all levels of being.
Simon's favorite piece is called the Indian Act. It depicts broken pieces of the Mi'kmaq star to express the damages done to Indigenous identity by the Act.
And one piece is for the people that, like the 60 scoop, that were taken away from the nation, and they feel hollow and lost and small.
The Mary E. Black Gallery is near Halifax's waterfront. For the first time, the Quill Sisters' art will be on display. Simon consulted with Mi'kmaq curator Aidan Gillis. He creates spaces to welcome Indigenous people.
I find the Indigenous community often feels when they go into museums is that they're talking about us to someone else, and it never feels like a space is ever made with us in mind, and so there's that beauty in trying to be inclusive, but we're feeling alienated no matter where we are, despite being on our own territory.
The installation is called Mateus Revisited. Mateus is Mi'kmaq for porcupine. Gillis says quilling represents the past and the present.
Where I really do see Indigenous artists as historians, because the amount of research that goes into so many of this work, and the way that artists have a way of summarizing that and putting that out into a moment, for people, can really help them see the world and in a different way, really.
Simon is putting the final touches to her piece. Sark's art will be hung on the wall. Meanwhile, Peter Paul's art is still in transit from PEI.
We're really excited to have such a unique exhibit where it's Mi'kmaq people on Mi'kmaq territory displaying Mi'kmaq quill work.
Mateus Revisited will be on display January 21st till March 13th. Angel Moore, APTN National News, Jabuktuk, also known as Halifax.
Really stunning work there. That's all the time we have for your APTN National News for this Friday. You can find much more over on our website, aptnnews.ca, and be sure to tune in tomorrow for APTN National News Weekend. I'm Dennis Ward. Thanks for being with us. Have a great night.